What's going down? It is the At Odds podcast where even the what was the tagline someone dropped? It was clever. It was a pun. I know you read it, Erinn. It was like even the evens are odd, or even the I don't know. Um, I butchered it. I think it has potential though. Once I figure it out, and we appreciate you tuning in. Also, we appreciate you signing up to Two Lost to distribute your music for free. If you're a producer, you make beats, drop your instrumentals. A lot of producers are finding luck with that, dropping instrumentals on the streaming platform. If you're a musician who makes full songs, this is a no-brainer. Twolost.com, use the code at odds for 3 free months of unlimited premium music distribution. So you can get a lot of projects uploaded on all the platforms. My advice is always schedule them a month in advance, at least for release radar and for the proper kind of rollout. But, you know, stranger things have happened than a person just uploading without intention and going viral. I'm not saying that it's common. It's not, but it has happened. I've seen it. How are you feeling today, Erinn and Dame?
I'm great. I've been at my house for exactly a week, and that's amazing because it hasn't happened like that. I don't think since I moved in. So
I was gonna say, yeah,
eight,
you have
eight,
a
9 months I've been in the same place.
I'm doing cool as well. Just super busy. We have a Big Jaws web series. Our live premiere is this Sunday here in LA. And there's just been a lot of issues back and forth, something that I might bring up later in the podcast when it makes sense. And I know that we were going to start with a rant of mine, but I think it only makes sense to start with Kendrick and his response that has the internet in a tizzy yesterday. Everybody giving their opinions. What did you guys listen to it? The first time I was like 6 minutes. Shit. Like I didn't even listen to it the whole way through the first time. Like I kind of got
my
the whole
attention span is low. I'm
melody.
becoming a TikTok kid.
Wait, the current song is 6 minutes, or the one with Future and
No, the new
um
one.
oh,
Yeah, the
yeah, I haven't listened
euphoria.
to it. I
So
bowed out after the J. Cole thing. I heard the first Kendrick joint, which I was like, oh, this is cool. Then I heard J. Cole. Since then, I haven't heard the Drake. I haven't heard the Kanye. I don't know about the Tupac situation. I haven't heard this one. I bowed out. Yeah, it doesn't interest me anymore. It seems like child's play.
fairly predictable responses in my opinion. The only thing that threw me off was like the length of the song. Right, kind of figured. I mean, Kendrick is a super talented artist. Very lyrical, very complex. So you get what you expect from Kendrick, and you get what you expect from Kendrick's fans. So I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's great for both parties. Nobody's going to lose in this situation, in my opinion. They have very different fan bases. They have huge fan bases. Of course, there's some overlap, but I think it's a positive for both sides. Will Drake respond? I think he will. I kind of think I can say he has to, but Drake has not been known to kind of back down from a battle. I could respect that, especially given the type of artist a lot of people assume him to be. Um, I could respect that he will willing to, step into the ring no matter who it is. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Drake responds. But everybody was talking about this yesterday, and I felt like most responses were pretty predictable from both sides.
Oh,
What
well, of
what
course.
what's your
That's
opinion on it?
I mean, it's cool. Like Kendrick to me is like he's an amazing artist, but he doesn't make music for me to like listen to on repeat. For me personally, like I can listen to it and I can respect his skill set. I can acknowledge him as one of the greats, one of the greatest to ever do it. But in terms of like sonically, like the music, it doesn't. It's not like, oh, let me go listen to this while I work out. Like he probably has very few songs for me that I want to listen to over and over again. I respect, the artistry, the how smart some of his lyrics are, the different topics he talks about, but it's not something that I'm gonna listen to. It's kind of like, I mean, he's way better than Eminem to me. But that's how I look at Eminem's music too. Like I can respect him as an artist. I understand why people put him wherever they put him. But his music is just not for me. I don't listen. I don't think I have any Eminem song on any playlist of mine. But I respect him as a great. I understand why people put him where he is, and I understand why he has the success that he has. That's my take. Aaron, I
So
saw a
is
few
Drake
reactions. I don't know
like
if that was
more of somebody that you? Yeah, I mean, the reaction was for the comparison to Eminem. That hurt my soul. No disrespect to
no, not,
Eminem. I'm just like, yeah, yeah. It's just like
but
you're
just
saying,
not.
listenability.
Yeah, yeah. To me, Drake makes music that's just more pleasant to my ears. That's going to, I don't have Drake in my playlist either. But if I had to pick between the two, and I was like locked in a cell, and somebody said you have to listen to this or this, I would probably pick Drake. It would
You
be
know what's
easier for me to survive. So,
the thing that surprises me about that is because I feel like a lot of the debate online is like a generational delineation, and they're essentially saying like older people, like if you're like 30 plus 30, if you're not a woman and you're like 32 plus, you're gonna like Kendrick. I mean, you're gonna like Drake. But if you are a real fan of hip hop and sorry, if you're 32 plus, you're gonna like Kendrick. If you're below that, you're gonna like Drake. If you're a woman, it's 50-50 depending on where your preferences lean. You know, there's like all these like sub debates. So I'm actually surprised that you said that. Of the three, is J. Cole your preference, or is Drake still your preference?
I would put J. Cole at the top for
Okay.
me in terms of preference
Yeah,
for
that makes
sure.
sense. That makes sense. The yeah, I'm this is just me trying to add something to this conversation because I didn't listen to them. Drake is on more playlists because I make a lot of playlists for other people to hear. So it's like things that I would add. He's not on a lot of my playlists, but on playlists where I'm gonna be around people, like the girls' trip stuff, whatever, Drake will end up on those playlists. But as far as like Kendrick airtime, I will play an album wall to wall of Kendrick, and I haven't done that for Drake probably since Views until um, Hurry Up Never is it called? What is it? Hurry Up Nevermind.
I
Honestly,
don't
never
remember.
mind. That to me is Drake's best work. Period. Like that album. I know a lot of people. I'm a catch smoke, but that is my favorite. Now that album, I will run religiously. I play honestly, never mind. But for Drake fans, most people don't like that album. I'm just
Yeah,
surprised
that
that
was probably his lowest performing album, I think,
and
right?
it's my favorite Drake
Hmm.
album ever. At first, I was saying top three, but it's definitely favorite ever because after a month or two, if I haven't heard the album, I will listen from top to like intro to outro. I don't really like the song where he put with 21. I feel like it detracts from the overall sonics of that album and the direction he was going, but that album is amazing. But aside from that, I am way more of a Kung Fu Kenny fan. I like his tone. I like his direction. I feel like he's doing things that we've never heard in hip hop. But yeah, I also don't care about any of this. So I haven't listened to any of it because I don't feel like it's productive for my life. And I feel like the Twitter conversations, I think about the first disc where I had to sit for hours and look at videos and I was trying to decipher. I'm like, what did I miss? Yada, yada, yada. That was cool for one day. I don't want this to suck my life in. And it's just again, it doesn't have anything to do with me. But shout out to the energy being supported in hip hop, hopefully. I just feel like it's more divisive than it is beneficial. So I've opted out. But Payne, I definitely want to hear what you
I,
gotta say.
I think it's a net positive though. Like competition for music is a net positive. Like there was a time, when Funk Volume was doing its thing, I hit up Strange Music and asked them if they wanted to make a Strange Music versus Funk Volume album. And they quickly said no. It wasn't the artist that said no. It was the CEO that said no. But it wasn't like I was proposing that, hey, we talk shit about you guys talk shit about us. It was just like, hey, we'll put our best 5 songs on the album. You guys put your best 5 songs on the album, and we'll let the fans, decide or argue, debate, whatever. At the end of the day, it's gonna run the streams or downloads up on both sides. So why would you not do this? I mean, and I kind of understand why he wouldn't want to do it. But I thought that that was whack. I thought that we could have done something that was so different that no other independent labels have ever done, and for them to shoot the idea down so fast, it was kind of upsetting because I was like, man, this could have been really dope. So somebody listening to this can steal the idea. I still think it would be a dope idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think competition is a net positive. I think with the internet and with all the hot takes, it just becomes like a sports debate. And people take that shit way too seriously. And like people get killed at bars because a game happened and you're wearing the opposing team's jersey. And I just feel like it's become tribalism on social media where for me, I'm just going to be honest, it's been growing for me, this need to just stay out of these conversations because I'm just trying to make music and enjoy music and analyze it. And I don't need a bunch of anonymous profiles throwing insults and slurs around because you like one song over another, and someone that doesn't know shit is trying to read your whole life because you might like J. Cole or you might like Kendrick or Drake. You know what I mean? It just, that part takes the fun out of it because it's not people, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm old. It just, even when we used to have debates, I just feel like it was more about the culture and not about the cults. And now it's more like cults to me. It's not really based on the music. So, someone is echoing. I'm not sure who it is.
I'm on
Yeah, I
mute.
don't know.
I think it's you, Dame.
So what do you want me to do? What's the solution?
Did you choose I'm not wearing headphones when you
Yeah, I
signed
can
in?
I can put on my headphones and change it. I guess I don't know if I can do it mid. Hold on.
Or turn echo cancellation on maybe on your side? Oh
That,
no, it
that
can't be changed.
that's on.
That's weird. I don't hear it now though.
It's not even coming through my headphones yet.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I think he has to go back out and come back in if he now puts on headphones because he has to let it know that he has headphones on.
Oh, well, he's frozen anyway.
I'm not frozen.
Oh,
All right. What about now?
I don't hear the echo. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right. We
Okay.
are
Well,
we ready to
and now
jump to the
everyone hears my
next
cat.
topic? And I go on my rant now.
Yeah, we need a Dame rant to transition
Wait,
out of
but
this
did
topic.
Payne, your opinion was that you just wanted to opt out of it because you don't want to, because of all the hate, essentially, you don't have like an opinion on the music?
No, I mean, I this generation's rappers, not even this generation's rappers, because Drake and Kendrick and all of them have been around for a long time. But the rappers that spark these debates, actually, I think debates, period, in rap have just reached a level that I don't even want to sit at, honestly. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's not fun because, and it goes back to that hit kid thing where it was like, if you're debating someone, it's like, okay, but Kendrick don't got no Grammys, or Kendrick doesn't have, or he does, but not as many as Drake, or Drake doesn't have as many. Drake's not underground and Kendrick is underground. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Or just the goalposts always move. Someone is lyrically more clever. Okay, well, name your favorite line. Well, that's not the point. Okay, well then, what is it about sales? No, it's not about sales. Okay, but when you lose the argument, you bring up sales. It's these weird, you know, I don't know. It's just dumb. Just
Yeah.
post memes about it. Have your fun. I don't know.
I
I
agree.
mean,
I
for
think
people
that
that
I
enjoy the go ahead, Aaron. Is there a delay? Are you hearing us on a delay, Aaron?
Yeah, there's a delay. You guys were overlapping, or else both of you are just really rude.
Go ahead,
yeah,
Aaron.
I would say I don't I agree with that, which is also why I think I don't necessarily view it as sport. Not that sportsmen athletes aren't sensitive, but I just feel like it's not sport because rappers are so sensitive, and rapper fans who tend to be
The
also
fans are
aspiring
even worse.
rappers are so sensitive because they are also aspiring rappers, so they put it on themselves to like make this their own personal. That's what I'm saying. I opt out. Like, my identity isn't affiliated with a rapper or music, even though I work in music. Like, I love music, and I think that it enriches our life and culture and whatever, but I just think it's so weird, and I think it's cool. I'm not knocking anybody with commentary. I think commentary is cool. I think culture and cultural debates are necessary. It's just not for me. And to the degree that people are spending and creating all of this, it's just like what Dave is saying, that he had the idea with strange music. I chuckle because I'm like, no, because the rappers are so sensitive. It's immediately gonna get personal. If it's y'all's best five
Mm.
versus our best five, and they don't, and each other doesn't hear each other's songs, one person is gonna accidentally take it too far, whereas the other people are just making music, and then suddenly it's like, F your mom, F your kids, y'all pulling up, y'all about to be in Oakland, word, we gonna be there. And it's like, yo, in in sports, again, in basketball, if I challenge you to a shootout, if I say my team is going to play yours, there's a definitive winner. When you talk about athletes, though, you can't ever tell, because I still think that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game. But then people will bring in LeBron stats. I respect LeBron stats, but my thought process is there's no Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant without LeBron. And yes, you can say that about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can say it about Pistol Pete. Yes, but I just think that Michael Jordan is the most influential person on the game of basketball. But that's my opinion. So there's no definitive win. We'll go back and forth for 10 days, and then you'll still think that LeBron's the best. I'm still going to say MJ's the GOAT, right? Period. With hip hop, though, I feel like there's this emotionalism that leads to either like violence or hatred that I don't understand. And so, yeah, I again, that's why I decided to opt out of it. But yeah, I just think that it's interesting to call it competition, because I would love to see it that way. And if it was, I'd be interested. But it just feels more like people crying, and not the rappers. I'm just saying the internet. And but
Well, yeah, because what are the rappers
with the
gonna do?
rappers, it does seem a little bit like that. Like, ninjas is pulling out receipts of super personal things, which I know is what you do, but it's just like, I don't
Yeah,
know, it's just and again, I only listened to the first two, but then I'm seeing people on Twitter like, oh, and he said this, and this means this, and it's these long behind threads. And I know art analysis is really fun, and sometimes I go down those super long Beyonce threads about the imagery in her albums, and sometimes I listen to the podcast about To Pimp a Butterfly, and where all these things. I think it's cool, but to a degree, it's like if it just makes you more combative, I just don't think it's productive. I waste enough time on Twitter as is. I waste enough time just like doing nothing during the day. I don't want to add to my own noise, but I know this is getting long. Sorry to everybody who wanted us to have a hot take or an opinion. I think we're just too grounded. Maybe we're just old. I don't know. It's just not for me.
yeah. Well, like with
I,
sports or pretty much any other competitive arena, things come to a head and there's an objective scoring system. None of these rappers are going to face off. So at this point, it's just recording music, for the fans to interpret. And great, it galvanizes your fans. The fans interpret it however they want, and then that trickles down to the content creation space. But the content creation space is toxic as shit. So people are going to go with what's going to get the most attention. And what gets the most attention generally entails an extreme take, some kind of cheerleading for one particular artist, some kind of, just something that inspires and elicits a reaction. And usually what elicits a reaction is something negative. So that's where we end up. And it's like, man, I don't want to walk into that space. I'll listen to the music, but I'm not going to walk into that space and put myself in there.
Yeah, I think for people that are watching this to kind of can take a step back and just kind of learn how people react to certain things and maybe feed that into how you want to market your music or interact with your fans. Um, because I think we've been online long enough to understand how most of this stuff is going to play out, right? Nobody's changing their mind. Nobody's going to be like, "Oh, you know what? That's a great point. I was a Kendrick fan, but now I'm a Drake fan because you said X, Y, and Z." Like that happens never. Um, so I would just kind of just study this, and if this is how, if you have some controversial content, or you can use it in your own marketing because you kind of know how the internet reacts to certain things. um, but switching topics, there have been a number of companies that market their services a particular way that kind of annoy me because it plays on the ignorance of artists, right? I remember that United Masters marketed their platform as like a record label in your pocket. And when I heard that, I was like, this is ridiculous. You don't have a record label in your pocket, but I think artists, and I understand it's like a catchy little thing, but like you don't have, nobody has a record label in their pocket. That's ridiculous. And what reminded me of that is that there are two companies that have announced like AI managers, right? You no longer need a manager, you just need this AI to tell you what to do. And that's even probably more ridiculous than a record label in your pocket. And I'm sure people are going to be like, well, that's because you're a manager, Dame, and you're sensitive and you're going to take this personal. And I'm going to tell you, no, it's because your AI cannot replicate what I do. AI cannot replicate the hundreds of emails that I just spent going back and forth with a brand trying to lock in a sponsorship deal for Big Jaw's live premiere this Sunday. When something goes wrong, I can't turn to AI to fix it. I got to show up. I got to have the conversations. And that's just one of many things that a manager needs to show up and do. Now, can AI help you guys if you are struggling and don't have ideas? AI is only as good as the information that it's fed, right? So if you want a forward-looking team that like has a lot of creative ideas and do things that have never been done before, like you can't use AI for that because they was never fed that information. It can't really predict that. So I'm sure that you can use AI to be more efficient. I use Chat GPT all the time to create job descriptions, to create like outlines for decks and things. It helps me be more efficient, but you're never going to replace a solid manager. And it's annoying that they call these things that because I already know that artists don't really understand what managers do in the first place. So they might hear this and be like, oh, that's amazing. Now I don't need a manager. Or, oh, that's amazing. Now that I have AI to do this, I can only, it makes sense that I only give my manager 10% now because he's only doing half of the work and AI is doing the other half. AI
Which one are
cannot,
you talking about? Which platform?
I refer, I guess I did say United Masters for the record label in your pocket. There's a company, there's two, there's another distributor that has an AI manager. And then I think there's a company called Indie Flow that has an AI manager tool. But I just want to,
Okay, because there are others. There's like Manager.ai, then there's Maverick Sounds.
yeah,
I'm
they're
looking
gonna,
at Maverick Sounds.
they're gonna come out. I'm sure they're gonna come out the woodwork. But like, if you know what a manager does and you have a solid manager, if you call this thing a man, if you call this AI a manager, it's very disrespectful to like your actual manager. I'm not saying don't use it. It could be a great tool to help you guys be more efficient or to give you guys some structure and things like that. And I know that they're just calling it an AI manager because it sounds fun and they want people to use it. But there's a lot of artists that are dumb enough to think that this thing is actually a manager. So that's
Do
my
you
rant for
think
the morning.
so?
Yeah, it's not. I'm looking at it right now. I do think so, Aaron. I'm just because that's what they're calling it. I think it's like Asana is project management. So these AI platforms are basically project management um, platforms that are similar in the sense that there are these calendar templates and all of these productivity tools, mental health tools, especially with Maverick Sounds. Their emphasis is on mental health check ins. But Indie Flow, it looks like it just assists with collaboration, um, templates for posts, that kind of thing. So, yeah, it to me, it's more of the musical equivalent of a Monday.com, but maybe with increased AI, which technically is a management tool, but it's not a music manager replacement.
But like
Yeah,
what
but
Dame was saying, it's a management tool, meaning you have to Asana, I hate because everybody's like, Asana makes your life so much easier. It doesn't for me because I have to learn a
No,
whole
you're right.
new
You're right.
system. And everybody uses Asana differently. At one point in my life, I was a part of like 8 different Asana teams. And everybody uses it differently. Some people do the sub teams. So if you're on a team and you guys are running the marketing part, then there's a marketing chat and then everybody can plug into that. Some people use the general portion of it and then they do the labels. And so you got to come. Some people like to have private chats. And it's just like you end up having all of this shit that I'm like, just send this to me on a Google Doc and let me know what I'm supposed to do. I don't like them. It's another system that I have to learn. It's like there's so many of them and I'm like I would prefer for everything to be Google Doc, Google Calendar, let's leave it here, and a group chat on iPhones. Like that's my preference. And I know other people function differently, but yeah. So if you have already been a part of, I mean, there's so many. I can't even think of any of them right now. Because you said Asana, but I've been a part of so many of them. If you've been a part of
But those,
that and
but
you
those,
look
but
at
that, but those are different. Like that's a project management tool. Like these tools, to my understanding, like you're asking it what to do. Like, hey, I have a song coming out on July 12th. What should I do to promote it up until July 12th? Like Asana is it. Unless it's changed since I used it, it's really just a project management tool. They might have incorporated some AI into it more recently, but I don't want to. To me, what these music companies are building is different than that, right?
but that's what I'm saying. I don't think so because right now, if you go on Instagram, it says "Ask me anything." The AI chat is right at the top, so it's Asana plus an AI chat. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like so now when it tells you, you can plug it in and say, okay, on Monday I
Yeah.
need to do this, on Tuesday I need to do this. They're trying to make it seem. That's what I'm saying. If you know how any of these productivity applications work, all you're gonna see is that it's Asana plus Chat GPT with a new name. So that's why I'm like, I can't see anybody actually looking into this and being like, oh, this is going to change my life. I also feel like artists are lazy by and large. So if you if you're at a place where you don't have a manager yet and you realize that you still have to do all the work and ask the questions, then I don't think it's going to work. if you do have a manager right now and you're just looking for a way to not pay them, so you're plugging into this thing and hoping that it gives you answers, you've already shot yourself in the foot. You either have a terrible manager or you don't want to spend the money on the right people. And if you and your manager could be the right person and you don't want to spend the money, I think you've already shot yourself in the foot. So to me, and back to what you said, it's only what you feed it. Like, we're building an event for a big uh, Comic Con in Austin, the biggest Black Comic Con in Austin, and we're coming up with a handful of events. And it's like we write a lot of our copy through Chat GPT. Like, we'll give it the prompts, and we get very specific prompts. Then we get the stuff from Chat GPT, and then we modify it, right? We never get names from Chat GPT because the reason that people hit us is for cultural relevancy, and Chat GPT has no understanding of Black culture. So it's like, even when we have prompts that we give it, that we can't give it anything even remotely asking for Black culture elements. It's just for copy. We have to then, as a team, come back and say, okay, what do we want to, okay, let's do some research on Japanese culture, let's do this, let me call my little brother who's really big into anime. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, even with Chat GPT, I'm like you, me and Brandon use it super regularly. It still doesn't take the place of our mindset and mentality, especially when we're curating new things that are hallmarks for the culture. And so I think, if you think this is going to solve your problem, you probably haven't clicked on any of the ads to look and see what it does. But it costs you way more time, effort, and energy, where you could just be spending that focusing on getting a system. I remember Shane, who was a huge MEC follower, community, or yeah, part of the community. You guys remember Shane, right? He's in LA now. But Shane was building an app for, it seems like, damn near a decade, like really like 5 or 6 years. I think he was building an app, and it was basically this. It was not necessarily AI, but they were using, maybe it was a little bit of AI. I don't think the tech was up to speed as much when he was trying to use it, but it just walked you through a prompt every day of like taking a new step. And it was like your virtual or your digital manager, and it was like, okay, you're 10 days from a rollout, do this. And then once you checked it off, it would be like, okay, now do this. And then you check it off, and then it would gamify it, so you get these benchmarks and rewards. But I remember talking to him about it, and I'm like, I can't see this taking off because it requires the artist to do the work that they assume a manager should do. And he was like, well, yeah, so many artists are self-managed. And I'm like, yeah, they're self-managed, but they're still not doing this level of work, because the moment that that they get to this, they're gonna be like, man, I'm making money, I don't need to. And the app never took off. That's no shot to Shane. It's just like, his thought as an executive was that an artist would be motivated like he is to accomplish things and to put their own work in, and not to say that artists don't work. There are plenty of artists daily putting in work. There are plenty of artists making a living. There are plenty of artists who are self-managed. But my thought process in this is that this is not a solution for a problem that actually exists. The problem that it's trying to
And
solve
that's what these
is
are.
laziness in artists.
Yeah.
And lazy artists, it's not going to fix with an AI tool. And the motivated artists already have a system or a process, or they're going to say, I don't find this to be beneficial enough for me to spend money on this monthly.
This is a really small demographic that these apps can reach because, one, they're paid apps. There's a subscription. And two, you're absolutely right. It's just like Monday.com. Someone who's lazy as shit and self-employed and failing isn't going to spend money on Monday. So an artist that is just not motivated enough. Like, look, most people in life aren't equipped either because of how they were raised, either because of, there are a lot of different factors. They're not ready to be self-directed, self-employed individuals. They're if they were, I think more people would be succeeding in this space. And so it's not an insult to them. People can change, obviously. I don't think it's everyone's fault. I'm not saying everyone's just lazy. This isn't how they work. This isn't how, we don't go to school to learn how to be self-directed. You know what I mean? we're trained to work for somebody else. And that's how even our supervisors and managers at work aren't 100% self-directed. So we've created a culture of dependency when it comes to how we view employment. And then you throw creatives in the mix and all the ridiculous and toxic cultural assumptions and constructs about how artists should just lie around all day until inspiration hits them. And then once inspiration hits them, they should be praised and showered with money. And we know damn well that's not how it's ever worked, and it'll never work that way. So where does this fit into the picture? I think, honestly, this is the least threatening AI so far, in the sense that if an artist genuinely does need some sort of organizational tool that can assist them, then great, use one of these. But if they're already at that point where they've identified their needs, then they've got their stuff together enough so that once they've used and expanded their self-management through this app, they're going to know they've exhausted pretty much every option up until the point of getting an actual manager. Because, a manager, I can't imagine. What am I talking about? It's miserable. Like, a good manager shouldn't be wasting their time calling the artist every day at 7 a.m. saying, all right, did you remember to upload this? That's what this app is going to address. You know what I mean? And so, no, that's not what a manager should be spending all of their time, energy, and intelligence and experience on. So, yeah, you have an assistant that's going to remind you of stuff. But again, like Erin's saying, you look at your phone and you see that reminder, okay, it's time for the rollout. I'm not even trying to do that today. You just ignore it. So I think in